So what is data sharing? Well, it's a feature on the NICU data site that allows NICUs that care for the same infant to share data with each other. We know that this has been a challenge, and this feature has really been built to simplify this process while increasing data consistency and quality. This is going to make it easier to obtain data for infants transported in to your NICU, as well as follow-up data on those that were transported out. The caveat, though, is that the NICU where the baby was transported has to be enrolled in NICU data sharing, and it also has to be a CPQCC NICU. So you might also be wondering what data is being shared. Well, it's infant demographics, maternal history, delivery room items, congenital anomalies, and disposition and length of stay items. So as you can see, quite a bit is being shared here, which would cut down on some of your data entry time by quite a bit, as well as increase the data accuracy across NICUs where this baby stayed. So now let's talk about how to access it. So first you need to sign up by downloading the data sharing agreement from our website, signing it, and then submitting it to Renee. Once signed, please submit a help ticket where myself or Janella can turn on data sharing for you. And then once that happens, any records entered for transported infants are linked across NICUs daily. So again, to sign up from our website, you can go to NICU and then NICU data resources. And then after you've signed up, you can go to your NICU settings page where you can confirm that data sharing is turned on. So now let's talk about how to use it. So here's 3 ways. The first is add via shared record. You're going to see in your side menu bar that there's a link for add via shared record, and the number in the brackets represent the number of records entered by the other NICUs, by the other NICU caring for the same baby. And this is updated in real time. The second option is the network info tab. This is a tab that shows up, the last tab that shows up on your admission discharge form, and it includes sync buttons that can be used to update your current NICU record. It also gives access to follow-up information required for babies that were transported out. The third option is manually add a new record. So when adding a new record for a transported infant, the following items must be entered to link to another NICU's record: the NICU name, the infant's ID, record ID at that NICU, and the infant's exact birth weight. So this last option is similar to the way that you would share data before, where you would call another NICU and ask for the NICU record ID or the birth weight. The only difference is that when you enter just these 3 items, the entire admission discharge form will be pre-populated. So let's explore option 1, add via shared record. When that link is clicked, it opens a list of records being shared with your NICU. The list will default to outstanding, which includes only new and unused records. But you can also search by completed for records already used, unused for records where cannot use reason was selected, or reviewed for records that were either completed or unused. Included in each list of records is the following columns: the source NICU, and this is the NICU that first entered the data, the source NICU ID, infant's date of birth, infant's birth weight, multiple status, how related, which explains why this infant showed up on your list, age and days when the infant was admitted to your NICU, status, and cannot use reason. So I just wanted to briefly talk about the status column. The status column is where you can choose to accept this record. If you choose to accept it, you'll need to enter a new ID number, select whether you want to pre-populate either just the admission discharge form or both the transport and the admission discharge form. And then you're going to select the Add 2020 Record button to accept the form. If this baby was previously discharged home and readmitted to your NICU within 28 days, you can also select the PDH box. So accepting this record, once you click that button, is going to take you to the admission discharge form, where you can review all the tabs in the form. before you save the record. And then to save the record, you're going to need to click on the check form and then save. So this record is saved and removed from your shared list only if the above items are completed. So this is the same basic steps that you would take when entering a new record for the first time or updating an existing record in the NICU database. If after you review the record, you decide not to save it at that time, you can simply just exit the record and it'll remain on your shared list. If you choose not to accept the record, and then you can select a reason in the cannot use reason column. You're going to click the link for a list of the following options to the left, which explains why this record cannot be used. So you have the options of admitted after day of life 28, not eligible other, never admitted to the NICU, infant already entered, still in house, so far not eligible, previously discharged home, never a NICU before, something is wrong, reason not listed, and reset selection. So reset selection means that you can reset the previous answer and either choose another option or even decide to accept the record. So let's say you chose to begin with, never admitted to the NICU. Let's say later on you find out that actually this baby was admitted to the NICU, but maybe it was after day of life 28. So you can reset the selection and then choose admitted after day of life 28. Okay, so next we're going to discuss option 2, network info tab. Again, this page is always going to appear as the last tab on your admission discharge form. At the top of the page is where you'll find the sync buttons next to the NICU ID. You will only see this information if the NICU where the baby is transported, again, is participating in data sharing and has entered a record for this baby. So what do these sync buttons mean? Well, the purple sync button allows you to update your NICU's admission discharge form with non-missing values from the other NICU's form. Non-missing means pending or blank values, which will not be transferred to your form. The teal sync button allows you to reset the values back to what you originally had before you click the purple button. And then you also have the option to copy and paste the discharge dates by clicking on the copy button next to each date. So last, we'll discuss option 3, add new data. On the screen, you're going to select yes if the infant stayed at another NICU. You're going to select the NICU where the infant stayed. You're going to enter the infant's record ID at that NICU. And then you're going to enter the birth weight in grams. If you select your own NICU, you'll need to check the previously discharged home box. So this is in the case where a baby was born at your hospital, admitted to your NICU, discharged home, readmitted to another NICU, and then came back to your NICU within 28 days. So how can you tell which records are linked? Well, you can identify these records in the second column of the edit data section, which is the link column. So the solid teal dot indicates that a record is currently shared and visible in the network info tab, which we just reviewed. The pale teal dot indicates that a record is currently shared, but the other NICU or NICUs, depending on how many stays this baby has, hasn't entered a record yet for this infant. So in this case, you are the source NICU. You're the first one that entered the record for this baby. And this record should show up on their list of sharing opportunities if they're enrolled in data sharing.